Many thanks, Laddie. Interesting times for about 92 countries, including Nigeria, as they are set to compete at this year's Winter Olympics starting tomorrow in Pyeongchang, South Korea. The International Olympic Committee has confirmed that over 2,000 athletes will jostle for honors in 7 sports. The IOC also said figure skating, bobsledding, skiing, snowboarding and curling are the major events. The Nigerian team, made up of Seun Adigun, Gozion Wumere, Simidele Adiagbo and Akoma Umeoga, will make history as the first African women team to participate in the Games. And the Court of Arbitration for Sport says a decision will be made on Friday in the cases involving 47 Russian athletes and coaches who have appealed their exclusion from the Winter Olympics by the International Olympic Committee. The court began a hearing for the 32 athletes on Wednesday, but then incorporated an appeal by a further 15 athletes and coaches during the middle of the day. CAS Secretary General Matthew Reeb told reporters that despite the additions, all parties involved are satisfied with the due process.
It is likely to be issued tomorrow morning, so between 9 and 12. When further information is available, you will be informed. Yes, I think they traveled all the way here. We could start the hearing yesterday. We had to adjourn it so that the second case could be also included in the hearing. And finally, I think the parties were satisfied that the due process was complied with, and they are now also waiting for the decisions. Well, the IOC is waiting because they know their lawyers were present here. They are well informed of the status of the procedure, so we didn't have any other contact with the IOC.
Nigeria Football Federation President Amaju Pinnick is already looking ahead to the 2022 FIFA World Cup. With Nigeria boasting one of the youngest squads going to the Mundial in Russia, Pinnick believes the current squad of Super Eagles players will perform better in Qatar.
Good news about Nigerian football now is not the number of merchandising, it's not the number of marketing, number of funds coming in through sponsorship. It's the fact that we have a young team. We have a young team that can play 2 Nations Cup. Conveniently, we have a young team that can play 2 World Cups. Look at Victor Osimhen, look at the Wakalis. Just look at those players, even Tyrone, look at Brown, you know, loads of them, Kelechi, Ndidi, all these are young enterprises. That's why if you look at the statistics, Nigeria is the youngest team going to this World Cup. Like I keep saying to my colleagues, we say it and we joke about it, that we have, our team will be better prepared for 2022 World Cup than this World Cup. Than this President World Cup. But I believe we're going to spring a surprise in this World Cup, because there's one thing that counts for the Super Eagles right now: team spirit.
Super Eagles forward Henry Onyekuru has been named the most promising player of the year in Belgium. Onyekuru, who is currently recuperating from a knee injury he sustained in December 2017, won the award ahead of Hassan Bandé of Burkina Faso and Belgian Landry Di Marta. The Belgian Golden Shoe is an award given in Belgium at the beginning of each year to the best footballer of the Belgian First Division for the past year. That's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. The news at 10 continues shortly.
Thank you, Ayotunde. According to leaked comments from a top party official, South Africa's ruling National Congress had been preparing to fire President Jacob Zuma as head of state this week, but a negotiated exit now looks more likely. The ANC had scheduled a meeting of its National Executive Committee, which has the authority to fire Mr. Zuma, for Wednesday evening, but cancelled it late on Tuesday after constructive talks between the new ANC leader, Cyril Ramaphosa, and Mr. Zuma. Mr. Ramaphosa later said that he is holding direct talks with President Zuma over a transition of power, and he hopes to conclude their discussions in the coming days. The U.S. Senate and House of Representatives are expected to vote on a proposed budget deal before government's 1-month spending runs out at midnight today. This move by the House is to avert another government downtime. Many fiscal conservatives argue it will lead to a $1 trillion deficit. The plan to keep the government operating and increase spending over the next 2 years faced resistance from conservatives in the Republican Party, who favor less spending on domestic government programs. Republican and House Speaker Paul Ryan has backed the agreement. He believes the chamber will pass the budget as Republicans control both chambers of Congress. In the Middle East, the United Nations Children's Fund has appealed for $17 million to help rebuild Iraq's health facilities. This comes ahead of an international conference to support the country's reconstruction scheduled to hold next week in Kuwait.
The UN says 750,000 children are still lacking access to health services in the region of Mosul, 7 months after Islamic State militants were driven from the city. According to the agency, less than 10% of health facilities in Mosul's Nineveh province are functioning and are stretched to breaking point. They added that rehabilitation of clinics and hospitals is key to allowing displaced people return home.
This city, this is part of the hospital as we see it today. It was completely flattened. There are parts of the hospital that remain more or less intact, but gutted, nothing. No health services for the children of Mosul, a population now of probably about 1.6 million.
Humanitarian organizations say about 2.6 million people are still displaced 2 months after Iraq declared victory over the militants who had taken over nearly a third of the country in 2014 and 2015.
The situation of the hospital is really bad. It needs a lot of work to get it to where it needs to be. As you see, the hospital is abandoned and destroyed. Health workers are doing their best though, but they are struggling. The birth hall has been destroyed too, and the staff is using a much smaller room.
The Iraqi government said it needs at least $100 billion in assistance to rebuild homes, businesses and infrastructure, including oil and telecommunication facilities.
The hospitals require a lot of reconstruction. I mean, look at the destruction. We need medicine. We need everything. If you ask any of the staff, why are you not coming to work? They will tell you they cannot work without salaries and cannot even pay for their uniforms.
Kuwait will host an international conference on Iraq's reconstruction on February the 12th to the 14th.
And the main news again. President Muhammadu Buhari today debunked claims of his government's seeming inaction over the security situation in Nigeria as he hosted Catholic bishops at the presidential villa in Abuja. He also promised to look into the issue of lopsided appointments. That's tonight's news at 10. Thanks for being with us. My name is Ladi Akiridoluale. Good night.